From the grim sky, rain pours onto the blood-stained battlefield, simultaneously cleansing fallen warriors. Amidst the chaos, a battered figure leans on his blade, rain mingling with his wounds. In the midst of this scene surrounding him, lifeless bodies of allies and foes alike bear the brutal toll of war. The survivor of the war, with his head raised, harbors no joy in his victory. Instead, his heart is heavy with grief and anger weighs heavily, knowing comrades have perished without witnessing their sacrifice's outcome. With bitter resignation, he murmurs Ahayu's clear carelessness, while raindrops trace his face. All of a sudden, a voice pierces the stillness. The speaker, a giant figure lying beside him, praises his powers. Agonized by the havocs ran his comrades, he grumbles, "Alive, you bastard." The boy's gaze meets the horned giant, swathed in wounds, radiating hatred and fury. Climbing atop the giant's chest, the boy, an Adi clan member, brandishes his blade. Empowered by recent successes in the Empire, Giants' unprovoked onslaught wreaks havoc. Ahayut stands as the last of three giants. The boy presses his foot onto the giant's face, demanding answers from the architect of an empire turned graveyard. Why? Why does he, the author of this massacre, still draw breath? The giant, devoid of remorse, assures the boy not to fret, since he will soon leave this world, and his clan will reclaim their homeland eventually. "That's fine, your comrades await you," the boy responds back. "Comrades?" Ahayut impulsively queries. "Yes, the other two who accompany you in this world," the boy replies, recounting one fried by a ravenous red dragon, the other forever sealed by the old man Lauren. "Recalling, you damned wretch," the boy jeers. The emotionless giant urges the boy not to veil truth with words. He discloses that their adversary perished alongside him. The boy's face sours, realizing the truth. Ahayut goes on disclosing that there are not many strong humans like the boy anymore. "I'm alive, so what's your point?" Struggling to maintain composure, the boy counters. Ahayut warns him both not to delude themselves, acknowledging their days are numbered. However, Ahayut believes that had this boy honed his talent earlier, committed to training, he could have obstructed their long-held ambition. Fighting back his emotions, he confesses to the detestable life he leads, even if unspoken by the giant. "Just be silent and meet your end," the boy implores. Finally, the giant praises the boy's greatness, an accolade that holds little weight in this world, soon to be engulfed by starlight, fading into oblivion. These are the giant's parting words. Unable to bear the truth any longer, the guy strikes with his sword. The giant's head falls with a clatter, spilling blue blood. He stares at the ground, with the rain mixing with puddles of blood and water. Stepping into the bloody puddle, fatigue and despair weighing on him, he walks. Tears or rain stream down his face as he walks across the corpses. The memories of his friends flood back. However, now before him his best friend lies lifeless, a sword wound on his face. In a distressed voice, the boy addresses the fallen comrades. "What pride leads you to fight to your death? Do you believe in your strength?" He knows there will be no answer. "You brave fools," he mutters, masking his inner turmoil. He gently closes his friend's eyes, lamenting that he should have fled. He calls him foolish, a touch of warmth in his words. The boy wonders why his sword alone can harm the giants, reflecting bitterly on their needless sacrifice. Feeling helpless, he stands alone. Then the faint voice asks if someone is there. He turns eagerly, finding a girl, injured and barely conscious. "Dash, you're alive!" he exclaims in disbelief. It's Grand Commander Addison, though her arm is missing at the elbow, but she is still clung to life. The girl's eyes show life, though she bites her lip. The boy approaches the commander, asking for someone in charge. "What is this?" "Ronan, just a corporal." "You're no different," the captain responds to his judgmental question. Without wasting a moment, she asks about Ahayut, and Ronan replies that he has eliminated Ahayut. This news brings tears of joy to her eyes. Ronan continues to watch her smile amidst the tears. He turns to her, suggesting that if she truly appreciates him, she might consider a favor. "A favor?" Edishin inquires. Ronan explains his wish for kind treatment of disciplinary soldiers. The commander hesitates at first, but then suggests him to oversee them himself. "Goodness, how?" he starts, interrupted by a fit of coughing. Ronan turns to Addison and asks, "Is this what more alive means?" He adds that he could pass at any moment. Hearing his words, she asks about his aspirations if he were to survive. He smiles at her question and reveals that "I have many desires, but right now the only thing that comes to mind." His gaze lifts to the sky, pondering, what's it like attending the academy? Addison, puzzled by this question and their dire circumstances, seeks an explanation. Ronan shares that the giant's words and, more importantly, his late sister's wish for him to join the academy weigh on his mind. In an attempt to instill hope, Addison begins speaking of a search party once the rain ceases. Before she can finish, Ronan interrupts her, expressing his sense of being lost and devoid of purpose. Against the bloody sky, blackened trees form a haunting tableau. The sun pierces through the clouds, illuminating the battlefield as the rain's final drop falls. Ronan and Addison's eyes widen at an unforeseen earthquake shaking them all. What is it? Ronan asks, gazing towards the source of the tremor. His eyes widen with both surprise and horror. Suspended in the air before him is a giant with 8 majestic wings, exuding an awe-inspiring aura. Behind him stand numerous other giants, appearing as warriors awaiting their commander's orders. Ronan and Addison wonder where they all come from. Petrified by the sight before her, memories surge within Addison of someone saying she couldn't save the world a third time and that one final chance remained. Ronan's voice pulls her from her thoughts, and in an irritated tone, she instructs him to employ his telekinesis and launch the giant into the air, as his sword can't reach them from here. Fueled by his determination, Ronan can't comprehend why Addison hesitates to continue the fight. She, however, affirms her resolve, asking if he expects her to remain idle. Drawing his sword, he declares with unwavering confidence that even if he dies, he will take down a few of the monsters responsible for their suffering. Addison, observing his furious and resolute strikes, admires his unwavering spirit in a seemingly hopeless situation. Witnessing Ronan's face contorted by hatred and anger, it is thanks to him that they have come this far. Addison calls out, "Corporal Ronan," her tone firm, perplexing him. Then, in a softer tone that contrasts with her usual commanding demeanor, she asks if, in their next encounter, he remind her not to do anything reckless and become a tailor. Meanwhile, in the giant's hand with 8 wings, a light begins to coalesce, exploding the next moment and consuming everything in its wake. Suddenly, a blue orb of light twists through space, traversing time. On the flip side, Ronan's eyes are snapped open, and he jolts upright in a panic, calling for Addison, but there is no response. The bloody battlefield has vanished, replaced by a sunlit green expanse. "This, impossible," he murmurs, disbelieving his eyes. "This place it must be." He trails off in shock while surveying his surroundings. Rising to his feet, he realizes why this place feels so uncannily familiar. It is his hometown where he was born and raised. Ronan sits beneath the tree, wrestling with Addison's parting advice. The blue orb, a time-turning artifact, lingers in his thoughts. It can turn back time 4 times, but it's already been used 3 times. She believes in Ronan's potential to stop the world's ruin. Considering his giant-slaying abilities, she urges him to refine his skills and directs him to Philian Academy, a training ground for outstanding individuals. Ronan dismisses her wisdom as a mere dream. However, in disbelief, he replays the memories, eventually accepting their reality. Suddenly, he realizes that if this is a glimpse of the past, he could see his elder sister. He rushes to the streets of his hometown, reuniting with his sister after years as a cherished prospect. Yet a jarring sight catches his attention. A gang of boys is taunting a helpless peer suspended upside down. Interestingly, the boy isn't hung by a rope, but by magic instead. Desperate cries reveal the boy's dire situation. His mother's costly medicine is essential for her recovery, and he's used up all his money for it. The gang's leader callously dismisses his pleas and demands money from the poor lad. With a menacing grin, he urges the girl with magic in her hands to use it to lift the boy higher and further petrify him. She hesitates, foreseeing a disaster, but compliance is her only option against the scoundrels. The leader's threat hangs heavy in the air, leaving her trembling. Assel questions the path she has chosen, but she's determined to end the torment. She musters her courage. In a fragile voice, she implores the gang to halt. Suddenly, a blow strikes her from behind. Ronan wields the stick, urging her to reconsider, lest she inadvertently harm the boy. Distracted by the blow, Assel's grip on the boy's leg weakens, sending him crashing to the ground. The infuriated gang leader confronts her, demanding to know if she defied him at the boy's urging. Trembling, she stammers an apology only to be rescued by Ronan, who shields her. With surprising calmness, Ronan reassures Assel and promises to talk with her. The gang leader, irate and feeling ignored, insults Ronan. Unperturbed, Ronan inquires about Assel's telekinesis. She explains that she learned it from a grimoire bought from Peter. He marvels at her progress, realizing she has the potential to rival the giants. The gang leader, unable to bear being sidelined, unsheathes his sword, assuming a menacing stance. Ronan, recognizing the familiar threat, observes the boy with a mixture of anger and recognition. He accuses them of willfully ignoring him, revealing a deep-seated grudge from their shared past. Brandishing his sword, the gang leader lunges at Ronan, vowing to put him in his place. Ronan remains unfazed. He analyzes the boy's unrefined technique, noting that his brute strength compensates for his lack of skill. With ease, Ronan sidesteps the attack, enraging the leader. The leader's taunts turn to Ronan's sister, a line he dares not cross. Enraged, Ronan swings the stick, and the audience sees blood staining the floor. The leader is now missing an ear, dropping to his knees in agony. Shocked cronies watch as their incapacitated leader rises. Approaching with icy fury, Ronan's voice cuts through the air, challenging the leader's will to live. "Do you want to die, punk?" The gang leader knelt, stunned by Ronan's quick action. His friends, equally surprised, couldn't understand how Ronan had disabled their leader so smoothly. Speaking to the remaining gang members, Ronan asked if they were enjoying the show. Fearful and resentful, they backed away, glaring at their fallen leader. Pointing at the leader on his knees, holding his bleeding ear, Ronan told them to help their friend and leave, or they faced the same fate. He insisted they leave behind the stolen money to make up for their actions. Faced with the sight of the bloodied stick in Ronan's hands, they quickly agreed, leaving a pouch of stolen money for the boy hanging from the tree. Wide-eyed with disbelief, the boy asked if Ronan was really giving it to him, as it was more than he had ever owned. Ronan assured him it was no trouble and asked only for the abandoned sword. He reassured the boy that the gang wouldn't bother him again. Grateful and teary-eyed, the boy thanked Ronan, promising never to forget this act of kindness. Ronan assured him there was no need for thanks, insisting he go home. However, a hesitant voice interrupted them. It belonged to Estelle, who, in a genuine but uncertain tone, apologized to the boy. Estelle acknowledged her mistake, explaining she was forced by the gang leader, Hans. Tearfully, she admitted her fear and confusion. The boy, smiling gently, empathized with her, recalling his own initial fear when Hans had brought her there. He reassured Estelle, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder, that it wasn't her fault. They said goodbye to the boy, with Ronan and Estelle staying behind. Ronan observed Estelle, realizing she's not such a bad person. Playfully elbowing her, he reminded her of their earlier plan to talk. He told her to meet him there in 4 days when the moon would be high in the sky. Estelle was understandably puzzled and asked for clarification, and Ronan warned her of the consequences if she failed to appear. Returning to his sister, Ronan hesitated, debating whether to present the flowers he picked. He knew his sister had a fondness for them, hoping they might please her. Overwhelmed by embarrassment, he considered discarding the flowers, but was interrupted by a voice from inside, asking about the commotion. A woman's voice called out, recognizing him. Ronan froze, slowly turning to face the door. He had imagined countless conversations with his sister, debating whether to apologize or express his longing. But those thoughts belonged to the old Ronan. Looking at his sister, her long white hair framing her beautiful face, Ronan managed to say, "I'm back." She greeted him with a radiant smile, expressing disbelief at the flowers from her usually reserved brother. In response to her question, Ronan assured her the feast before him was more than enough. He casually asked about her age, surprised to learn she was 22. Iril gently chided him for forgetting, expressing concern for his well-being. As Iril touched his forehead, checking for fever, Ronan couldn't help but reflect on how unchanged and even more radiant and kind his sister appeared. Sitting in their cozy kitchen, enveloped in his sister's care, he wished for this moment to last forever. However, he couldn't ignore the looming war with the giants only a decade away. Ronan took Iril's hand and revealed his desire to attend the academy. She was taken aback, asking for clarification. Overwhelmed with joy, she urged him to repeat his decision. Ronan affirmed his choice, prompting Iril to rush off in excitement. Returning with a sack of gleaming gold coins, she explained she'd saved it for him, anticipating this day. Ronan peeked inside the sack, asking how much there was. Iril disclosed she'd been preparing for his academy expenses for a long time. He hesitated at first, but touched by her dedication, he suggested that she should use it for herself. She insisted there was more than met the eye, emphasizing she didn't know which academy he had in mind. Ronan stated he aimed for the Imperial School at Philian Academy. The Imperial School? Iril echoed, surprised and proud of her determined brother.